And it's fun just sitting here because I know you two have been longtime friends. And
Long-time friends.
oh, my gosh, it's
We
just
first-
nice to...
About 40-some years, right?
Oh, longer than that. We first met back about 1944.
That's right. How many years is that, Judy?
Well,
now?
it's longer than 50.
I'm kidding. This is 2005. So
It's
that's
quite a
long
while.
time. Yeah.
I thought maybe we could begin by talking a little bit about how you first got into music, and because you came to Cincinnati from Kansas City, is that correct?
Yes, but I was born and raised in Illinois,
Okay.
Mike, and I played the violin. My mother made me take violin lessons. And, I'm so thankful that I did because I could read music. And so that helped me in my career throughout the years. But then that's when I graduated from high school. I was singing then, in Bloomington, Illinois on WJBC every Saturday for Sears and Roebuck. But in those days, boy, that was a big thing. You made $2, That was in 1944, I think. Yeah, it was after I graduated from high school. And everybody's figuring out on their fingers, how old is she really? No, I'm kidding, Mike and Judy. But anyway, I graduated from high school and I got this audition record. I sent an audition to Kansas City and I got the job there, KMBC in Kansas City.
Wow. Now, and I don't want to.
And I was there a
jump
year
into
and a
questions.
half. And then I
I'm
came to Ohio.
trying to think of influences you probably had growing up, and I can think of a couple of sisters who probably influenced you as a yodeler.
Yes, they were on WLS in Chicago. The Desuric sisters, wasn't it Desuric?
Well,
Judy?
Millie and Dolly.
Yeah, and Millie and Dolly, good.
Girls of the Golden
yeah,
West.
wonderful. Girls of the Golden West. But see, my yodeling came natural because my grandmother came from Switzerland. And Gami would yodel for the cows. And, that's what I did, too. I was bashful, and I would sing and yodel when I would go out to get the cows on our farm. Because I had lived on the farm until I was about 16. I only went 1 year to high school in Bloomington. That's where I graduated from. But because my father was a farmer. And not a tenant. Yeah, sharing, 60-40, the people who owned the farm, and my father got part of it. So I learned to milk cows, and I'm thankful for all those years. I think every child should grow up on the farm. I wish my granddaughter would. My grandson, he loved to go to see his grandmother on the farm in Illinois. And, Emily did too, but she didn't get to participate in that part of the farm as much as our grandson David did. And it's a special time. Well, your boys are all on a farm,
That's
right, Mike?
That's right. Growing like weeds.
Yeah, like when it's just, you're clever. You're clever. That's cute. Now, do you have a garden too?
I have a little garden, yeah.
Do
I'm
you?
not. I don't have a very good green thumb, unfortunately.
And your wife doesn't either, huh? 'Cause she's
She doesn't
busy.
have the time.
She's busy taking care of those boys,
That's
isn't
right.
she?
That's right.
So, well, Judy, no, we've been friends a long time, haven't we, honey?
Yes, I was working at WKRC. She was working at WLW. And one morning, she and some of the other guys, I don't remember who came with you, came over.
With
to
Louis
see
Ennis?
us. Yeah, I don't remember
Could
who
have
it
been
was.
Zeke Turner, too.
But I was working there with Cowboy Copus
That's right.
at that time. And they came over one morning. That's when I first met Bonnie. And then
Right.
subsequently, I spent a few times over at WLW because I could go over there, but they weren't allowed to come back over to KRC. Because in those days, you were not allowed to fraternize, and you weren't even allowed to mention a competitive station,
Yeah.
Now it's so different. Everybody's everywhere. But we couldn't do that then.
So did you get in trouble? Did anyone find out?
You got in trouble. You were kind of reprimanded for it, I
That's
think.
one last memory again, Judy. I don't remember that part of it.
Yeah.
I really don't. I do know that it was very competitive, but now here in Cincinnati, one company owns nearly all their television station and radio. So there's no they all wander from one station to the other. It's unreal.
But I think you told me at the time, honey, you were reprimanded.
We could be.
I think you were.
Yeah.
But
Well.
at any rate, that's when we first met. And then Many years later, after I wandered around from city to city and station to station, and Bonnie went back to Illinois for a while, I came to Cincinnati. And then after I was here about a year, I think you came back to Cincinnati.
Yes, I did.
So we have been friends since probably 1950, close friends, since about 1952 maybe, when you
Right.
came back.
I came back to WLW in 1951.
Well, 1951, okay.
And then we became friends then. Because you were affiliated with WLW, then I was too.
And we have
Midwestern
been,
Hayride.
we've been through lots.
Well, how did you end up at WLW? I mean, you were out in Kansas City, and I think you were performing under a different name.
Yes,
And
Sally Carson. I was known as Sally Carson then. And
did someone from here discover you, or did you just
yes. I tell you what, my husband keeps saying I should write a book, but I'm not going to. But anyway, Bill McCluskey was looking for a girl yodeler, and he was on a train with this other gentleman, and he mentioned it to this man. He said, "Well, I know of a girl in Kansas City. Her name is Sally Carson." He said, "Well, would you have her send us a tape?" And so this gentleman called me. I don't know who he is. And at that time, so I sent Bill McCluskey a tape of the Freight Train Blues and some other songs, and they hired me. But I was really, that was when WLW was doing remotes with the Midwestern Hayride on radio, naturally, because the television hadn't occurred yet. Or wasn't in vogue. Anyway, they hadn't invented it. So I get myself so involved here, Mike. Anyway, I passed the audition, okay? I came back from Kansas City, made some excuse, came here to, I think it was Newark, Ohio, and did the Midwestern Hayride, and that really sealed it for me. Bill McCluskey really liked me and liked my appearance, and that's when I got the job. So I went back to Kansas City, gave my 2 weeks' notice. But see, I wasn't 18 years old when I had signed that 5-year contract with KMBC. So they were worried, so they said, "We'll just change your name." And so Bill McCluskey wanted a Scottish girl name, so he named me Bonnie.
So Bill's the one that actually came up
Yes,
with the name.
yes. Bill McCluskey named me. Wonderful, wonderful gentleman.
Yeah, it certainly was.
Special friend.
So when you came to LW, did they still have, was it still called the Boone County Jamboree, or did they change the name?
That's what Judy says, that it was called the Boone County Jamboree.
The first time you were here.
Yes. I didn't recall that. I should have saved a lot of those scripts. In those days, there's so many things you should save, and I didn't. Just like my costumes. Of course, some man came from California and bought my costumes. And they're out there in some museum there in San Diego. The rhinestone costumes and gabardine. Anyway, it was the Forceman gabardine, and the gentleman, Nudie, Mr. Nudie, made all those costumes like he did for Roy Rogers. I don't know whether he did for Gene Autry or not, but anyway, some man came to our home, and he bought my costumes. Now, where did we go from here, Judy? I got lost.
Well,
You're
we're
going to play
talking
one of my yodel songs here pretty soon?
Yeah. Well, I was thinking maybe we could take a little break and listen to some of those audition recordings that you had.
All right.
And these are the ones you made while you were still Sally Carson out in Kansas City. And you worked with guitarist Herb Kratoska.
He was the gentleman, yes. There was a trio that I worked with. He was a very fine guitarist. And he did this audition. That was sort of secret, too. They didn't know I was doing that, but Herb knew, and that was my audition record.
Well, let's listen to Train Whistle Blues.
When a woman gets the blues, she hangs her little head and cries. Oh, when a woman gets the blues, she hangs her little head and cries. But when a man gets the blues, he hops a train and flies. Now every time I see that lonesome railroad train, every time I see that lonesome railroad train, it makes me wish I was going home again. I've got the blues so bad till this whole round world looks blue. I've got the blues so bad till this whole round world looks blue. And I ain't got a dime and I don't know what to do. Now every time I see that lonesome railroad train, every time I see that lonesome railroad train, it makes me wish I was going home again. Oh, look yonder coming down that railroad track. Oh, look yonder coming down that railroad track, with the black smoke rolling from that old smokestack.
Mike Martini along with Judy Perkins, and we're talking with Bonnie Lou. And
Yes.
Was Patsy Montana ever an influence to you? I mean, you
Oh,
said,
I should say. She sure was. Yes, everybody sang Texas Plains.
Oh,
And
I want to be a cowboy sweetheart. That was the song I sang. I was Patsy Montana at a talent scout show in Pittsford, Michigan. I was 16 years old, and I played Patsy Montana, and I sang I Want to Be a Cowboy Sweetheart, and I won. And that's how I got to go to be on the talent show WLS in Chicago.
Is that right?
I wonder how many young women were influenced by Patsy Montana.
I bet a lot.
Many, many women.
Because she really
yes, she
broke
did.
a lot
she
of...
set the trend.
She really did.
For women in singing and recording and
Cowgirl kind of songs.
yes, Western. Because see, I being my grandmother from Switzerland, and I Swiss yodeled, and so, but I had to do country and Western songs to Swiss yodel, and so that's how I got involved in that, which I loved, and like you said, that's straight yodeling. She didn't do any trick.
No, she didn't.
That type of thing.
She didn't do triple yodeling or
No.
anything like that.
It seems like at this time there was kind of a divergence. Some of the performers went into more of the folk music, and some went into the Western music. And you were always kind of aligned with that sort of country, the
Yes,
Western side of that sort of.
Right.
Was that something that you chose, or was that something that they chose for you as far as?
Well, they sort of chose it for me, but yet I did songs that I liked, and they were country and Western. Don't you think, Judy?
The Western songs lent themselves more to yodeling, I think, than some of the other songs did.
That's right. Sons of the Pioneers.
All those songs like Chime Bells.
Yeah, that's
It's
another
like a
one.
Swiss song or something, and
Yeah.
that was a really popular song for yodeling. Chime Bells.
Now, I know the station had their own arrangers, but did you do a lot of the kind of the nuances yourself, coming up with the arrangements?
We did our own.
Interesting.
At least, well, you had arrangers at WLW.
Right.
Yes. And, Teddy Rako was our arranger. Remember him, Judy?
Sure.
And I don't know who else was. Probably Cliff Lash did a little bit, but not that much.
Yeah, but you're talking about later shows where she sang more with a band,
Oh, that's right.
and
yeah.
so that required arrangements. But for the Boone County Jamboree, for Midwestern Hayride, you did your own arrangements, and you worked it out with whomever might be background music for you, too, or you did it solo.
Now, LW had this huge group that went out to county fairs, and from what I understand, that was grueling.
Well, it was. And we would have like 3 different Midwestern hayrides out in the summertime. Bill McCluskey would hire all this talent. And then they did a thinning out after the season was over. So you didn't know whether you had a job or not. And I was so thankful that I recorded 7 Lonely Days, because that did secure my position at WLW. It sure helped, you know. And then I had Tennessee Wick Walk and a lot of other songs, and I was very thankful for that, because we had some great talent, didn't we, Judy?
Sure did. Absolutely. Yeah.
Tremendous.
But I don't
people.
think that your recording and your hit records were that important in securing your position, because it was secure. Mike, I assure you, her position was secure.
Well, I noticed
don't know.
Yeah.
for some of those artists, they'd give them maybe 2 or 3 years, and they'd expect you to move on.
That's right.
And you both had some staying power
Yeah,
there.
right. Of course, then I went on with Paul Dixon, you know, 2 or 3 times a week. And that was a whole new facet of television for me, you know, because Midwestern Hayride was great, you know, with Bill Thal, who was the greatest. There was nobody like Bill Thal. You know, he really brought the best out and all the talent. He really showcased his talent, like Ruth Lyons did. She really did. I think Paul Dixon did too. He brought the best out in all the talent, and doing that made them just as popular too. People don't realize that, but that is the truth.
Yep.
You know, don't you think?
Absolutely.
Judy?
So,
Yeah.
so you had left town in the late 40s for a few years?
Yes, I did. My husband got out of the service. He was in South Pacific for 3 years. And so after he got back, I had already come to WLW. And so we got married in August. And I stayed there for about a year. But he was unhappy, you know. He couldn't seem to find his niche. And so, you know, marriage is for a lifetime. And so I gave up my career at WLW and went back to Illinois with Glenn. And then we had bank robbers. His father owned a bank back there. And so he went and worked in his father's bank, and then we had bank robbers come in our home. That's a long story, but anyway, I after about 6 weeks, well, I had a nervous breakdown practically. You're scared to death. There's those men with, you know, all you can see are your eyes, you know, and guns stuck in your face, and
They shoved her in a closet.
yeah, shoved me in the closet, and then Glenn goes and fires a 45 in two places in that house. About scared me to death. And our little girl Connie was only, you know, about 3 years old, and so he had carried her into the house. So he didn't know, you know. I mean, he had the gun with him. Oh, well, folks, you know, understand me. Anyway, we got through safely. Mm-hmm. But I said, Glenn, I'd like to go back to singing, you know. He said, okay, let's do it. So I called, and Chet Herman, I talked to him, and they hired me back. Usually they don't do that, but they did. And I sang, I was with Lee Jones, and a great talent. And she still, you know, lives here in Cincinnati. And she's a girl yodeler too, very good, very good. But she had gotten married and was sort of getting a little disillusioned, I think, with the profession. And so they hired me.
And I guess by the time you came back, they had television, so...
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. It was a whole new facet. So I stayed for about, 25 years.
Oh, gosh, she had a long career.
I should have worn my bracelet today that has all my little 7 chip diamonds in it.
Well, you mentioned 7 Lonely Days, and let's go ahead and listen to that. And
All
can you
right.
talk, maybe, this was your first big hit,
That was
right?
my first recording, yes. Mr. Sid Nathan, owner of King Records, called me up and had me audition for 7 Lonely Days. It was a cover. Georgia Gibbs had it in the pop field. And I'm remembering all this, Judy.
Well, see, I'm
Yes,
glad you came.
yeah, when you don't converse about things like
Sure.
this too often, names sort of leave you, Mike. And so anyway, Georgia Gibbs had the big hit record. And so and Sid Nathan was great for covering records in the country field. And so I did it in the country field. And a DJ up in Cleveland, Ohio liked me, and he was a big DJ. And he was the one that really got 7 Lonely Days being played all over the United States, and it went to about number 5 in the nation. It was a big record over in England. I still correspond with a DJ over there. He calls me all the time, and he has a record store over there in England, and he's wonderful, you know. Has my picture up there with my record and everything, and so.
Well, let's
It's
go
a great song.
Yeah, let's go ahead and hear it.
All
Here's
right.
7 Lonely Days.
7 lonely days make 1 lonely week. 7 lonely nights make 1 lonely me. Ever since the time you told me we were through, 7 lonely days I cried and cried for you.
Oh, my darling, you're crying. Boo hoo hoo hoo. There's no use in denying I cried for you. It was your favorite pastime, making me blue. Last week was the last time I cried for you.
7 hankies blue I filled with my tears. 7 letters too I filled with my tears. Guess it never pays to make your lover blue. 7 lonely days I cried and cried for you.
Oh, my darling, you're
7 lonely days make 1 lonely week.
There's no use in
7
denying
lonely nights
I cried
make
for you.
1 lonely me.
It was your favorite.
Ever since the time
Making
you
me
told me we were through.
Last week was the
7
last time
lonely days
I cried
I cried and cried for you. 7 hankies blue I filled with my tears. 7 letters too I filled with my
It
tears.
was your favorite.
Guess it never pays
Making me
to make your lover blue.
Last week was the
7
last time
lonely days I cried and cried for you. I cried and cried for you. I cried and cried for you. I cried and cried.
Bonnie Lou. Now, that what year was that, 7 Lonely Days?
Let's see, about 1953.
53, yeah.
Uh-huh, yeah.
What was it like working with Sid Nathan?
Oh, he was a challenge.
But I mean, he seemed to have
Yeah,
at least
well,
a
I
knack.
was thrilled, you know, and I only got paid 1.5 cents a record, you know. And then after I had that hit, you know, I wanted to, he did increase it, you know, so I did get a little more money. And first check I got, I'll never forget that. I made a down payment on a house. I think it was around $10,000. And boy, that was,
Yee.
yeah. In those days, that was,
It was a lot of money, you bet.
okay? And so we got out of an apartment and bought a house.
Now, what did the radio station think about doing a little recording on the side?
They didn't say anything.
Okay.
No. No,
Well,
that was
bye.
never discussed. I think that I would have had competitive if I wanted to go, and yet I never did on the Arthur Godfrey show. And but they were a little negative to that. The president WLW was, and so I didn't want to go against. You know, I had a good position there, WLW, and you know, and I didn't know whether I'd lose my job or not. Yeah, I really didn't, Judy.
Well, I
So-
think you had some offers, though, didn't you? You could have
Yeah.
left, and
Yeah, I could have.
you had some other opportunities presented, and she chose to stay here.
I chose to stay here. And you know, I'm so thankful I did, because my husband who was later passed away in an automobile accident, he wouldn't have liked New York. I know good and well.
No, yeah.
Glenn wasn't the type to like New York. Yeah, marriage meant a lot to me. It still does, you know. And I chose not to do that. And my people, my loyalty here in Cincinnati, unbelievable. Still to this day, I've been off the air, 25 years. But, I'll meet people all the time. Some man yesterday, I'm in physical therapy now and water therapy, and he said, I didn't want to say anything. He said, we were both there in the water walking. He said, see, I use my given name, Mary Joanne, after you go on Social Security, So he said, you said Mary Joanne. I said, yes, that's my given name. He said, but you're Bonnie Lou. And I said, yeah, I know, sir. It is a little confusing. He said, well, I just want to tell you, I used to watch you. And I said, well, thank you. So we're both there getting therapy, him for his back and me for my femur bone in my leg.
Bonnie had another song that did extremely well, too, that Tennessee Wigwalk.
Right.
And I think that might be one that you could also play here.
Sure. Can you tell a little story about that at all? I mean, is that something that you just picked up on your own, or did they approach you with that?
It was sent to me, a dub. Yeah, that isn't the word I want to use. A demo. Demo. And I liked it. And I did the harmony on that myself. Mostly all my records, I did my own harmony. And thing about this song is that, or this record, that all my little children, they loved it for tap dancing. And they would use it, and they'd go through all those movements. I'm a bow-legged chicken, I'm a knock-kneed hen. And they really used that in their dance reviews. So it became very popular that way. Besides, the adults liking the song, the children did too, so.
Well, it's got a great lilt to it. Let's go hear Tennessee Wigwalk.
All right.
I'm a bow-legged chicken, I'm a knock-kneed hen. Never been so happy since I don't know when. I walk with a wiggle and a giggle and a squawk, doing the Tennessee Wigwalk. Hear a tune on a fiddle on a hardwood floor. Though I'm broke and I'm weary and my back is sore, I walk with a wiggle and a giggle and a squawk, doing the Tennessee Wigwalk. Put your toes together, your knees apart, bend your back, get ready to start. Flap your elbows just for luck, then you wiggle and you waddle like a baby duck. Dance with me, honey, tap your toes and glide, and we'll always be together side by side. We'll walk with a wiggle and a giggle and a swap, doing the Tennessee Wigwalk. Chicken, I'm a knock-kneed hen. Never been so happy since I don't know when. I walk with a wiggle and a giggle and a squawk, doing the Tennessee Wigwalk. Hear a tune on a fiddle on a hardwood floor. Though I'm broke and I'm weary and my back is sore, I walk with a wiggle and a giggle and a squawk, doing the Tennessee Wigwalk. Put your toes together, your knees apart, bend your back, get ready and start. Flap your elbows just for luck, then you wiggle and you waddle like a baby duck. So dance with me, honey, tap your toes and glide, and we'll always be together side by side. We'll walk with a wiggle and a giggle and a squawk, doing the Tennessee Wigwalk. Walk with a wiggle, wiggle with a walk, and you're doing the Tennessee Wigwalk, doing the Tennessee Wigwalk, doing the Tennessee Wigwalk,
Doing the Tennessee Wigwalk with Bonnie Lou, Mike Martini along with Judy Perkins. And You work with some very talented people in the country music department over the years at WLW. I mean, are there particular artists that you work with who you thought were just terrific?
Well, see, we would have guests come on the Midwest. Bonnie, you can't talk this morning. Midwestern Hayride. Barbara Mandrell was one. Terrific. Real great artist. And let's see, I'm trying to think of others, Judy, and I can't think of their name. Oh, shucks. Well, anyway, when you talk of famous people, is that who you mean?
Well, actually on the staff.
On the staff there,
yeah,
Ruth
like,
Lyons. Oh, what a great lady. And Judy knows that too, right, Judy?
Yeah.
She really was. She really, if we little people there on Midwestern Hayride, we had problems with one MC, and he didn't treat us nice at all. So we all paraded into Miss Lyons' office, and we told her about him. I want you to know he was gone. They fired him. I'm not saying the name or anything like that, but anyway, that's how she defended her people. And we told her what he was doing to we talent there on the Midwestern Hayride. He wasn't nice to us at all, you know. And so...
Well, how did you first get on the 50/50 Club? I mean, did Ruth, because at that point I guess she was picking different people to be on 1 or 2 days a week, and did she just come to you and say, I'd love to have you as a regular?
Yes, she did. She asked me if I would like to come once a week. And Cliff Lash was very disturbed about this because I'm on Midwestern Hayride, you know, and he's a very accomplished pianist. And he thought, oh, a country artist, I don't know my head from the hole in the water. But I read music. I took 5 years of violin. And so he had me do, what was it, Man in the Raincoat. And that's a difficult song, Mike. But that's what he wanted me to do. And I worked and worked and worked on that song. And I did it. And that's what started me on the 50 Club. But it was a challenge. And I'm sure, Judy, did you?
Well, Ruth would insist on a lot of people being on her Holiday Hello shows, her Christmas and her
Yeah.
Thanksgiving specials. And so she would call on people from the Midwestern Hayride to be on. I was on it just about every year that I was
know
on the
you were,
Hayride.
yeah.
And you were, of course, and anybody, you know. So she had a variety of people on her shows. So Bonnie would have been on it for that reason, of course.
That's right.
But then she later became a part of the show on a weekly or semi-weekly
every week.
basis.
And then what was wonderful, she wrote all those songs, Mike. Oh, great talent. And then I recorded one of those, you know, for her Christmas album. And that was wonderful, too. We still have the television. My husband won't give it up. We had to have parts made for it. But she gave all of us that was on that record a television. And that was in the days of the black and white, you know.
And
But
it was a real
yeah.
nice gift.
we still have that TV. Yeah, Mel said no. And after even it, I said, what are we going to do with it? I said, we want color. Yeah, okay, I'll put it over there in my office. So that's what he did.
Well, that first Christmas album, people don't realize that sold 250,000 copies.
That's right.
In an era when LPs, 50,000 nationally was a hit.
That's right.
It sold an unbelievable amount of copies.
And then she gave us money the next year for our dividends, you know, of things. And but they're still selling that album. I think they do down at the Union Terminal in their gift shop there. You can buy the CD. In fact, I did. I bought the CD down there for my grandson to take back to Little Rock and of Miss Lyons' Christmas album.
It seemed like you and Ruby Wright and Marion Spellman all had your own styles in a way, and Ruth could pick out the different songs to fit the person.
That's right. She did, too, you know. I love that. Of course, that was Miss Lyons' song, Hey Nonny Nonny, but I did it, you know, out on when I do personal appearances, and I'm trying to think. Then she wrote another song for Peter Grant and myself called Bells, 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 ringing in the air, you know.
Let's go ahead and hear it.
Oh,
everywhere, a smiling, a singing. Gosh, what a wonderful time of the year. Go where you go, here's what you hear. Is the air getting nippy? Is your heart feeling flippy? Are you out buying presents by the gross? Do you find that you're whistling when you're walking? Then you'll know Christmas is getting mighty close. Are you knee-deep in wishing? Are the kids all a-fishing to find out if they're gonna get the most? If they're looking up the chimney to be sure the coast is clear, then Christmas is getting mighty close. Have you got a list that you're checking? Have you picked out the biggest Christmas tree? Are the cards being written? Are you purring like a kitten? 'Cause you're gonna have a Christmas like it's meant to be. Does the world seem a tingle like a gay Christmas jingle? Is your heart ready for an extra dose? Are you feeling like a million though you haven't got a dime? Then Christmas is getting mighty close.
Have you ordered a turkey that's a whopper? Have you hung out the holly on the door? Have you got a crazy feeling that you're gonna hit the ceiling? Then you're bound to have a Christmas like you've never had before.
Does the world seem a tingle like a gay Christmas jingle? Is your heart ready for an extra dose? Are you feeling like a million though you haven't got a dime? Then Christmas is getting mighty close. Christmas is getting mighty close.
Dear Peter Grant, he's something else. You know, he was great at the, you know, because he was a dynamic speaker, you know, great for doing the news and everything. So Miss Lyons could bring, as I said, the best out of every person. And here was this very staid, you know, gentleman, Peter Grant. And she brought him up on the show, you know, and he really was clever, wasn't he, Judy?
Oh, he was great. Yeah, it was great fun.
Yeah, because he you know, so staid, you know, and everything was, what is the word I want to use?
Well, he was an aide to a general, you know, during World War II. I mean, he had a big...
Was he?
Oh, yes.
Well,
Yes.
you know, listening to the few excerpts that survive of Peter Grant on the show, I mean, I think he really liked the opportunity to
Express himself.
Right.
Mhm.
Yes, it gave a whole different perspective of Peter Grant.
Because
You
there's
know?
that one recording of him singing "Thank Heaven for Little Girls."
Wasn't that great?
It was, and
He
I
was
remember
He was
that.
a very nice man.
yes,
Very nice man.
Absolutely.
And the best newscaster ever.
He really? Yeah, I think so
He had
too.
the voice that you
So dynamic.
died for if you were a broadcaster and needed a newsman.
Yes, he was very good.
So you'd spend a day or two a week with Ruth, and then, of course, with Paul.
Yeah,
And
one day a week I was with Miss Lyons, and then I would, later on, I was on every day with Paul Dixon. And then when he had his first heart attack, and then Colleen joined us, you know, and she's a joy to work with. She's lives in Fort Myers, Florida now, all the time. And I just talked to her the other day. So she joined the show, and she and I worked together. And we had a lot of fun.
I
you
bet
know.
working with Paul was a lot of fun.
He was a riot. He really was. Oh, yeah, with the chicken wedding and all of those things. You know, you think back, because Bruce Bromfield passed away a few years ago, you know, and Jerry Haggerty is still performing, and
That's
what
about
is
it.
Yeah, what is it? Mr. Cox. I'm trying to think of his first name. But anyway, his father owned a tavern over there in Kentucky, and Paul Dixon would always say, "Now, what's the soup of the day?" And we just happened to be driving by there the other day, and Mel said, "Hey, there's Coxey's he said, "Wonder what the soup of the day is today," you know. And But Paul was so, well, down to earth. And when you saw Paul Baby on television, that's just the way he was off. Nothing phony about him. And, I think that is so a great compliment to any artist, because you meet a lot of phony ones in this world.
I always said that about Ruby Wright, too. She was the most authentic person
Wasn't she?
I've ever known. She was the same to everybody all the time. There was no pretension about her at
Nothing at all.
ever.
Well, I think maybe that's part of their success, is that people
I
can
do
see
too.
through that. And they can see when someone's being fake or lying to them or being false. And when you're honest with people, I think
I
Comes
think so,
through.
too. We need to do more of that in the political field, too.
Oh.
But I won't go into that. Judy knows how I am about politics. Oh, boy. But anyway, I'm a good American, and I'm proud to be in the United States, so.
So at some point, I guess you decided that, you were tired of, or was it the point really when, I guess about that time, WLWT decided that they had to steer away from the live shows, and I guess Bob Braun was the last one.
Yeah, they did with Bob Braun, yes. They took the band off, and he just did, a talk show. And it didn't prove to be too successful, was
Well,
it,
I
Judy?
think now what happened, of course, was when Bob Braun had his show go. It was the last thing, after Ruth had given up and everything.
And Paul Dixon
And Paul
died, so
Dixon
that
died.
ended that.
So Bob Braun asked Bonnie to be on his show, but that's
Didn't
when
wanna
she just made a decision that she wasn't going to do that anymore.
I didn't want to.
Yeah.
Okay, my father was very ill at the time, and we won't go into all the facts about all this. I made my decision not to stay on at WLW, and I went back and helped take care of my father. My daughter was in California. I hadn't seen her. When you're in the profession, Mike, and Judy knows this too, and so does Alan, that you're representing WLW 24 hours a day. I don't care whether you're going to Kroger's, wherever you are, at a gas station, whatever. You've got to remember your part. You represent that station. At least that's the way I felt about it. And I just wanted to help take care of my father and go see my daughter. And my husband had the furniture store. He was busy with his life, and I, to keep him occupied. And so that's what I did. I made that decision. I became a DJ, up at WPFB, up in Middletown, and I enjoyed that once a week.
Bonnie Lou learned how to run the board, got her license.
did.
Yes, she did. It's amazing.
Oh, my word.
I never did that.
Well, I learned how to, but I don't know. It didn't sound too great. Sometimes I'd have it too loud or too soft. But I did get my license, and that's something. But
You don't have to do that anymore.
you don't?
No, they pretty much let anybody on. Witness myself here.
Oh, Mike, now you're doing great.
TV stations today, they say they can't afford to do live local programming anymore. But sometimes I wonder if shows like, the 50-50 Club or that Paul Dixon could work anymore. And I think it really could, because we're going towards local programming anymore if these stations want to survive. And I miss those shows. And
I think everybody does. I hear that so often. I know Judy must too, that we miss all that live television. We were really blessed in those years of having live talent. And also shows like Uncle Al and, for children, those live children's shows that the parents could bring their children to. You don't have anything like that anymore. Nothing.
And there aren't as many venues for young performers, kind of coming up in the business.
It's very difficult now.
Well, they don't want to spend the money. Everything is news, And I agree with you. They're missing the boat not having some live television besides. Because look at Regis and Kelly. That's about the only live audience participation show. Oh, no, you got Jenny.
Ellen DeGeneres.
Ellen, yeah.
Mhm. There are a few, but there aren't many. And Well, it's such a fast-paced time in which we live, and I think that that's had a lot to do with it too, because they don't have the time to give to development of programs like they did in years past. You put somebody on the air and you give them a chance to build an audience, and they don't do that anymore. If you don't make it right away, you're off.
That's right. Well, look at the new sitcoms. I mean, or whatever. If the show doesn't make it like in a month or 2 months, you don't see it anymore. Can you imagine what that must cost to film and to all those artists? But that doesn't mean anything. You got to get those demographics, and then that's another thing they look forward to. You got to get the young. And I don't agree with them on that.
And of course, the salaries are so exorbitant today. That's another thing. It's so costly.
It is.
We didn't have the luxury of demanding that kind of money. And when I started out, I worked for free on the radio. And probably, I don't know if you got paid or not, but it wasn't much if you did.
I got $1 or $2.
Yeah, there you go.
Sears and Roebuck.
But you were glad to get the start. You were glad to have the opportunity to learn and to develop and to get some experience. And that's how we did it. And it's hard for kids today. You can't. Young people don't have that option in the same way.
You really don't. And if you coming up and getting the opportunity to learn your craft, you have to do that like in a place that sells alcohol. So, I mean, you don't have all these other
Well, and also,
avenues.
and we've talked about before, having an opportunity to make mistakes, because when you're coming up in the business, you have to make mistakes.
That's right.
And that's how you learn.
But
And
they
expect you to be, on top
Perfect,
of the game when
yeah.
you come in. You know what I just realized we haven't done is played a piece with your famous yodeling.
Oh,
So
I wish you would.
Let's go ahead and we're almost to the end of the program here.
All
Is
right.
play something right here with Bonnie Lou as the yodeler.
Okay, thank you.
I would like to dedicate this next tune to that old rock anthem flash, Chuck Kett from San Antonio, Texas.
I'm a straight shooting cowgirl from Texas. I'm a lassie from the wild and woolly west. I can yodel, I can sing, I can do most anything. When it comes to riding broncos, I'm the best. I can shoot from my hip with my 6 gun, and a bullet I have never wasted yet. I'm a lassie from the Lone Star State of Texas. I'm a straight shooting cowgirl from the west. Now I'm a straight shooting cowgirl from Texas. I'm a lassie from the wild and woolly west. I can yodel, I can sing, I can do most anything. When it comes to riding broncos, I'm the best. I can shoot from my hip with my 6 gun, and a bullet I have never wasted yet. I'm a lassie from the Lone Star State of Texas. I'm a straight shooting cowgirl from the west. Oh, that's my boy.
Well, first of all, let me just say that it's been absolutely delightful just to be in the presence of both of you together.
The pleasure's
because
all mine, Mike.
there's been some wonderful stories told off the air here too that we can't talk about.
It's been wonderful being with you too, Mike. Thank you so much.
And thank you. Let's head on out with one more song from Bonnie Lou.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Well, now, what this hayride needs right about here is some fine yodeling. And here's just the gal to do it. Our singing cowgirl, Bonnie Lou. How about it, Bonnie? You got some yodeling for us tonight?
Oh, I sure have, Will. But first, I'd just like to remind everybody that the Victory Loan Drive that's now going on is our opportunity to repay our debt to the men who fought and won the victory for us. Remember, friends, we owe these men more than thanks. We owe them the finest hospital care that money can buy, a speedy return to their homes, and all the things due them under the GI Bill of Rights. And it's up to us to ensure these things for them by investing our money now in victory bonds.
Well, thank you, Bonnie.
Oh, and thank you, Will. And I'd like to sing, When I Marry, I'll Marry for Love. When I marry, I'll marry for love. When I'm riding, I'm a-looking for love out in the open. When I'm roping, I keep on hoping I throw a laugh around a laddie who I'll marry and settle me down in the rancho near Cherokee Town. Yippee-yay, yippee-oh, yes, 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 you gotta know when I marry, I'll marry for love. You're the lady, I'm the lady, oh, the lady, lady, oh, the lady, oh, lady, lady, oh, oh, the lady, I'm the lady, oh, the lady, lady, oh, the lady, oh, lady, oh. Now when I'm married, I'm gonna marry for love. When I'm riding, I'm a-looking for love out in the open. When I'm a-roping, I keep on hoping I throw a lasso down a laddie who I'll marry and settle me down in a rancho near Cherokee Town. Yippee-yay, yippee-oh, yes, 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 you gotta know when I marry, I'll marry for love. You're the lady, I'm the lady, oh, the lady, lady, oh, the lady, oh, lady, oh, you're the lady, I'm the lady, oh, the lady, lady,